Today we are going to sing the national anthem in English. Okay. Start.
O God of all creation,
blessed is our land and nation. Justice be our shield and defender. May we dwell in unity, peace and liberty. Blessed be found within our borders.
let one and all arise,
With hearts both strong and true. Service be our earnest endeavor. And our homeland of Kenya, heritage of splendor, firmly we stand to defend.
let all with one accord,
With common goal united, this is our nation together. And the glory of Kenya, the fruits of our labor, fill every heart with thanksgiving.
Sit down. These ones are opposing and these ones are proposing. That which means that you oppose the motion. Okay. And then they propose the motion.
I stand here to propose the motion that says living in rural is better than living in town. All of us know that culture of people is very important, and each tribe have their own culture. But when you look at the people who stay in the rural areas, they stay with their grandfathers and their grandmothers, and they are taught a lot about their culture, and they tend to know their culture better than the ones who stay in town. For example, among the Luya community, we practice the culture of circumcision. Now, people who stay in the rural areas, they take part in that culture. They sing, they dance as they prepare their boys for circumcision. So they keep that culture, and it's a very good culture for that tribe. But the boys, for example, who stay in town and they are Luyas, they don't know anything about that culture. They can be taken to hospital for circumcision, but they will not understand the meaning of circumcision in their culture than the ones who are in the rural areas. Number two, I want to talk about marriage. The people who stay in the village really respect their marriage. Why? Because of that culture. They are told once you are married, you are supposed to respect your husband, respect your mother-in-law, you respect your sisters and brothers-in-law. And they really hold to that because of that culture. But people in town can abuse their mother-in-law, they can slap their sisters-in-law, they can beat up their brothers-in-law, and pour hot oil on their grandparents. So it's better to live in rural areas. Now I'm appealing to those who live in town. Kindly go back home and stay in rural areas. Thank you.
The rural are doing better than the town. Here we found it is true that they pour hot water on their mother-in-laws, which is very true.
In rural areas, we may go to the bush to look for firewood instead of wasting money for buying firewoods like people who are living in urban areas. Okay. Second, we can cut our trees and use them to make charcoals that may help us in cooking, while people in urban areas, they will use a lot of money buying charcoals. Like for example today, one gorogoro of charcoal is 80 shillings. In a rural area, that 80 shillings we will use it for buying another thing. Okay. Then another one. In a rural area, we will not use money for buying water. We'll just go to the lake, rivers and fetch water. While in urban areas, for you to have water, you have to use money. So those who are living in urban, let's go to rural and stay there. Thank you, madam. Said Madam Irene.
Madam Irene, because when we are at town, we are in the 21st century and we have modern things. We can use gas. We can use gas. We can use gas to cook. And if we want water, we have rain. It's not a must that we use our money.
January, February, where do you normally get water if you don't spend money to buy water? What about if you don't have money for that gas? And towards we'll just go to the bush and fetch firewood.
When the other one ends, they will give you another one for free and you will still continue paying and free.
Madam Irene said that they cut trees to get charcoal. But the government says that we are not supposed to cut trees. And the one for the water, what if someone lives near a river or a lake?
Yes, Minister William, are you asking a question?
Yes, I'm asking a question.
Yes, Madam Irene, can you answer that?
Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. Okay, in urban areas, mostly we don't have lakes or rivers. So I don't know where that your lake is being found from.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to oppose the idea that living in rural is better than living in town or in the urban. As you can see currently, the fact that technology changes every now and then, the life in the rural areas, most people are not literate. Majority of them are illiterate. So even when it comes to the production of news, listening, most people who are in town, they get news early compared to the people in the rural. And the people in the rural are uneducated. The only language that they understand is the mother tongue.
Madam David is opposing. She's opposing. So is in the other side.
In town, urban.
Okay.
So I support living in town because so many things normally happen in town. Firstly, when it comes to the health sectors, most of the people in the rural area, they lack the ways on how to get medicines. They lack the ways on how young mothers can be supported when it comes to the birth deliveries. And also, kids in the rural area, they like the way of going to school. Reason because of the lakes, the rivers. Once it's during the rainy season, it tends to break the banks of the rivers and the water levels it extends. So you find kids have difficulties when it comes to going to school. So they either use the boat riding or they completely move from where they live to a different place.
Is it true that in rural areas we don't always get news at the right time? But nowadays we have TVs all over in each and every house or what boma that you go.
I didn't say that you don't get news. You get the news, but later. For example, as we receive news either in English or Kiswahili, do you understand either of those languages? Does your grandmother
nowadays in rural areas.
So for these languages to be translated from English, Kiswahili to the mother tongue languages, most people even in the rural right now, they cannot even access electricity to maybe charge their radios or maybe see the televisions. And most people in the rural, they sleep very early. For example, my grandmother sleeps at around 6 p.m. Which news is always at 6 p.m.? None. The most news starts from 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. And most people at rural area, it's either they go to outings and clubbings or they're sleeping at that time.
But nowadays we have solar. So in each and every home where you will go, you will find a very big television functioning using a solar panel. Okay, not that we must have electricity, is when we will watch news.
To answer your point about solar, by professional, by my career profession, I'm an engineer, electrical and electronics engineer. With the knowledge and the skills that I have, installing solar is very expensive compared to installing electricity. If the majority of people in the rural, in the urban areas cannot have the access of solar panels, how can the people in the rural have that money to buy the solar system panels? Answer me that, please.
Of which we have the one which you can pay 20 per day, 50 per day, and nowadays people in rural areas, they are capable of paying that 20 bob or 50 bob, and they are really trying for them to get news that what is happening in Kenya.
Power, tell me how much can 20 shillings give me a certain watts of power that will actually supply electricity in my house. I use it for television, I use it to charge my phone, and I use it also for cooking. 20 shillings, it's actually, by the time it reaches at a certain time, it goes on at a dim point. That 20 bob for solar panel will only satisfy someone at the rural home to only light the people within and maybe the students who are trying to access the light to study, but it will not actually help you to sustain the power output for a television. Madam Minister, kindly go and check on the success of the solar panel and come back to the motion.